Good afternoon and welcome to the Developer Show, a program where we showcase up-and-coming developments, talk investments, and discuss more about how you can find yourself enjoying the latest development in Ballito called North Point. My name is Chad and I'll be your host. And today we are joined by Kevin Swart, who is part of the development team for North Point Ballito. Kevin, thank you so much for taking some time out to join us today.
Chad, nothing but a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Kevin, this is quite a different one that we're showcasing today in that North Point Ballito is a commercial development. Am I correct?
That's absolutely correct, yeah.
So it's going to be a learning thing for me, absolutely, as well as for our viewers. But I'm going to jump into the question that I ask pretty much everybody who jumps onto the show, and that is, can you tell us a bit about yourself and tell us a bit about your team?
Sure. So I think we've been active and largely in the Natal region for a long time, for the last 35 years, 40 years. We've done a number of developments on all aspects, from commercial to retail to offices and residential developments as well. Largely in Natal, but also some stuff down in the Cape as well. This area in particular, we've been active as well, mostly on the residential side, and that's how we found this opportunity, because we are in the area, offices are based here, and we're always keeping an eye out for things that are close to home, and this was a unique opportunity that popped up for us right on our doorstep, which is always nice.
Now, what can a customer expect if they decide to enter into a North Point Ballito? What can they expect from you guys specifically, and then we'll touch on what they can expect from that development.
Yeah, so I think what we're trying to do here is maybe something that hasn't been done in this area before. The other business parks and that have been developed here maybe haven't been on the sort of kept together in terms of the structure of them and the layout and the architectural design codes and that. So we're really focusing on a precinct here. It's an 80 hectare site, so it's a significant size site, and we've got about 55 odd stands there. And we're really looking to create a business park that is well laid out, nicely landscaped. Obviously a big focus on security. It's very well located, and really keeping a handle on how that business park fits together and who comes into that business park. So a well-designed, coherently laid out, and aesthetically pleasing business park for this area.
Now, the location comes out to play a lot, and how important is that in terms of building the different business parks and different commercial areas?
Yeah, so I think Ballito has been a big success story over the last 10 or 15 years. As businesses moved out of Durban, sort of central, more to the Mhlanga Ridge area, it meant Ballito became a primary residential node rather than just a coastal holiday town, which it had more been previously before that. So over this last 10, 15 years, you've had a huge amount of people that have moved into this area. And as people move into the area, obviously, then the businesses start to follow. So, the time is really ripe for us to bring this development to the market now. And we've seen a huge amount of interest in it because, the location is great. You've got, easy access to obviously the main arterial highways and that here, the R102 and the N2, really easy access from that point of view. So, location with property is always, I'm sure you've said it a few times in your life, location. So it's critical, and that's why North Point is perfectly located to make the most of that, and it's a great opportunity for investors and business owners.
Now, we've mentioned, or I at least have mentioned, commercial quite a few times in this interview, and could you just run through for us, what is commercial and what does it mean in this setting?
So, yeah, we quite a broad range of zoning. So, the guys that can find themselves here typically, and I'll mention a couple of sort of industries and that guys are coming from, but you can really do anything from light industrial here to motor showrooms. That we've got sites that are on the N2, so guys where that passing traffic and that frontage is important. We've got prime sites where you've got that amazing visibility to passing consumers. And yeah, like I say, you've got quite a broad range of things. You can do restaurants here, you can do commercial workshops, light industrial, retail space, you can do offices here. So, it really is a mixed use business park, and the kind of guys that we've been seeing that with interest is we've got, electrical wholesalers with a bit of a focus on retail as part of their business as well. We've had some interest from medical logistics guys. We've got some guys in the food game that are looking to set up a mixture of retail, distribution, and manufacturing on their site. And there's office interest in that as well. So and all the way up, we've got sites ranging from 2,000 square meters all the way up to 90,000 square meters. So we've got sites to cater for pretty much any requirement that guys can be looking for. So that's the idea. So it's quite a broad range. It's a mixed use business park, and that's just some of the guys that we've seen coming along so far.
It's interesting because one of the next questions I had was, how does the zoning work within this development? And you've definitely covered that. So what I wanted to ask as well is, what do you do, or what's the thought process on separating the heavy industrial from the guys who want to maybe move into that business park for restaurants or something like that?
Yeah, so we're not really catering for really heavy industrial stuff. That's not part of the zoning, but there are areas that will be more specific to like you say, a lighter usage than other areas. So that is certainly part of the overall planning. But this isn't a place where you're going to have noxious chemical producers or really heavy grade stuff.
Okay, and the stands themselves, what are the price points starting from?
Yeah, so I think that's what's really great about the product, is that it's coming in at a very competitive price range. So we've got stands ranging from 1,000 Rand per square meter of platform that you pay on, up to about 1,500 Rand a square meter for the sort of prime sites along the N2 zone. So it's a very achievable price point, and that's why we're getting a hell of a lot of interest, because if you're an investor, you can make the numbers work in terms of what your ultimate rental to tenants is going to be. And obviously for business owners, interest rates have come down, massively off where they've been. And there's guys, anyone who's sitting on cash now, maybe in their business, it's now a good time for them to think about maybe owning their own space instead of renting maybe where they are currently. And it's an achievable price point for them to do that, to make a development feasible for the business or for an investor who's looking to get tenants in there ultimately.
Absolutely. I definitely want to touch on investments a little bit later as well. My next question was, what stage is this development in now? How much of it has been built already?
Okay, so we flat out on site. So the sites that are on the R102 road, we're busy there. We've done 2 big platforms there. We've actually transferred a couple of sites already as well. So we've got some secondary developers that are starting to do development on those sites already. The intersection upgrade and the roads are all due for completion by the end of this year. Coming off the R102, we've got to build a bridge then over the railway track, and then we open up the inside, which is the second phase of the site, and looking for completion on those services and ability to transfer those stands to guys by the 3rd quarter of next year, of 2021.
And within now the fact that most of this is still being built, is there allowance for potential tenants or potential purchasers to say, this is what we'd like done within these sites or within those stands? Or will it be built up first and foremost, and then once that's done and the person's purchased, they can then make their own additions?
Yeah, so I think there's sort of 2 things to talk about there. So the one is that we deliver the guys a serviced site, a serviced platform. So they get a flat piece of stand from us essentially, and then they can go and do what they like on it. But in terms of purchase opportunities, guys can come and just buy the land, and then they can sail their own boat from there and do what they want to do on the top structure and how they want to go ahead with it. We are also open to doing turnkey developments for guys. So if a guy comes along and says, I've got a widget business and I want to do this here, and I'm happy for you guys to develop it and I'll lease it from you, or I'm happy for you guys to develop it and I'll buy it once it's built, we can look at those options as well. So we're quite flexible on that front. The advertising at the moment is basically for buying the stands, but we can look at various options for guys.
So really, if anybody's interested in this, they mustn't be afraid to pick up the phone, call you, speak to you about what they've got in mind, and most likely you can probably assist with that.
Exactly. Come to site, come get a feel for the lay of the land. We've been dealing with quite a lot of guys that are looking at moving businesses here from Joburg and that, so maybe they're not familiar with the area. We can give them a bit of background on what's happening in the area, what else is going on. As I said, there's a lot of residential stuff that has been and is ongoing around here. So, get guys familiar with the area, get them to understand the product. And as with anything with property, it's always nicer once you've been to visit the site.
Absolutely. So taking a glance at your brochures, I can see just how important the location was for this development. So for people who don't currently work or live in Ballito or the Durban area and are interested in moving their business or maybe certain aspects of their business down to Durban and down to Ballito, could we talk a little bit more about the location of this development and also why you specifically chose that location?
Yeah, so I think, the airport's moved out this way. So, the airport used to be the other side of Durban. Now it's 10 minutes from us here in Ballito. So that's a massive driver. As I mentioned before, the site it's on the N2 and the R102. So you've got a very easy link to that airport for anyone that might be related to any kind of freight and logistics located within the airport type area, and easy access to get both north up to Richards Bay, and that we've obviously got a harbour and a whole bunch of industrial stuff that happens up there, and easy access down to Durban Harbour from here as well. So, it's a huge growth node in the country. There's numerous articles about it and the amount of wealth and money in that's moving to this area, and it's a place that's primed for growth. It's seen a lot of growth and continues to grow, and this opportunity popped up, and it's perfectly located.
We'd mentioned previously when we were talking about the stands, you'd said that you're going to deliver fully serviced stands to the clients. Could we talk around about what that means? And also, are there any other backup systems that you are offering the clients or tenants almost as amenities should they purchase within this development?
So, we deliver a service stand. So that means obviously your bulk infrastructure is in place in terms of sewer and water connections and power. Obviously, we've got to put a lot of infrastructure under the ground to do all of that. All of your roads and that will be in. Obviously, security is a big thing. So the business park will obviously have, proper perimeter fencing and electrics and cameras and a security complement on the ground. In terms of backups, obviously we're just delivering stands to the guys, but we obviously actively encourage guys to get engaged in solar and doing what they can to get themselves, operating permanently and not having to deal with the daily travails of load shedding and those type of things. So yeah, so it's something that we encourage, and as I said, we put in all the bulk infrastructure, so the guys, when they take delivery of their site, will be driving down, nicely manicured roads and that in the development within the perimeter security, and then they go ahead and develop their site, or we can develop for them.
Well, I think this is the great time to take a quick break. Let's take a look at what North Point has to offer, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the Developer Show. My name is Chad and I'll be your host. And today we are joined by Kevin Swart, who is he's part of the development team for North Point Ballito. We're talking about their latest commercial development. Kevin, just before we took that break and took a look at North Point, I wanted to speak to you around investments, essentially, or this being an investment. So could you just talk to me around how this being a commercial development impacts its investment viability?
Yeah, so I think it's a great investment opportunity. We've spoken about the competitive price points. So when guys are measuring this versus other possible opportunities they can get out there, the first thing you're going to look at is what are you paying for your square meter of land that you're buying, and that's really the starting point for any investment viability. So you've got a competitively priced product. We've spoken about the location; it's well located. And all of those things tie into that investment decision ultimately. Obviously the development team's critical. You need to know that you're getting involved with the right developers, and you've got guys here that have been in the business for a long time. Have got proven products out there to look at and see and touch and feel. So those are the important things.
How do you know, or well, how would you advise a client to do their homework in knowing that you're getting in touch with the right developers? I feel like that's something that definitely comes up quite often. People say you got to get in touch with the right developers. So how would you suggest somebody does that or ensures that they're already doing that?
Yeah, I think, as I said, we've been in this area for a long time. So I think the easiest thing for a guy to do is, pick up a phone, chat to a couple of the estate agents around here, the commercial property brokers. Those guys will give you an honest opinion of who the developers are, how their previous products have performed. Have guys seen an increased return on their investment over time from previous products that they've been involved in with these developers? Get a third party opinion from someone who's not trying to sell you something necessarily, but can give you a bit of history on the team and the guys that have been around. So, and we'd be very comfortable to give the guys people to chat to, and I think that's the easiest way to do it. Just chat to people in the area and ask them what they know of the guys that are doing it.
And now, when somebody's looking at purchasing into commercial developments or just commercial property, why go for a development instead of just purchasing an already built property that already meets their needs?
Yeah, so I mean, I think you say a already built property that meets their needs. Sometimes that's hard to find. So a lot of guys have different setups. Some guys they might need a much higher percentage of offices than a typical warehouse might provide, because they're going to put their head office with their warehouse and they're going to do their logistics distribution from there. So I think the benefit of building something that's purpose fitted for your business is always a very attractive way to go.
And keeping on this advice section here, what single piece of advice would you give to somebody looking to invest into commercial property, or even just looking to purchase into commercial property?
Yeah, I think it's just, you got to do your homework. If you don't know the area well, you've got to do your homework on the area, and the rest is really to have a good understanding of where you're going to go with the property. Make sure you're buying a quality product, and take it from there. It's just, you just got to do your homework like anything in life. You've got to make sure you're covering your bases and that you're getting the deal that suits you.
And now, could you run me through quickly what the experience would be purchasing one of these units, and also how does transfer duty work when we're talking commercial?
Okay, so that's one of the other big positives of obviously buying into a development, is that the first transfer from us as the development company to the purchaser, there is no transfer duty, which is obviously a big one. If you buy an existing property, transfer duty can be quite an onerous number these days. It's quite a big penalty to pay up front. So it's your purchase price plus you're not adding like another 10% or 5% for transfer duty. It's a big chunk of cash. And in terms of the typical purchase structure with us, is the guys would put down a 10% deposit into our attorney's trust account. It's invested in their name with interest accruing for their benefit until the time of transfer. So very similar to a typical residential type setup. And then we would just be looking for a guarantee or a bond approval from the guy's bank or their investment institution, which is obviously only payable on transfer of the property into their name. Which, as I said, we've got the first phase stuff that'll be ready end of this year, or if it's on one of the stands in the second phase of the park, it'll be sort of third quarter next year. So that would be a very typical sort of purchase structure. Often with the commercial stuff, the guys come along with other variables or different ways that the money is going to come from, which might be a bit different to the typical residential setup. But we try to work together with any purchaser to fit within the scopes of their business and cash flow requirements, and try and help them to do the deal.
So you're more than happy to sit down with a potential client and run through all the different numbers and ensure that their needs are met. And if they don't know something, you'll help them guide through that process.
100%. Yeah. I know we obviously want to try and do deals, and we understand, especially on the commercial side, as I said, guys have a lot of different aspects going on. So every purchaser is quite unique in terms of what they want to try and how they want to try and do it, but we try and be flexible within reason, and sit and work together with the guys, and obviously we're trying to get the best guys to come into the park and, find the businesses that make the place attractive for everyone else as well.
And what other projects do you guys have going on currently?
We're busy with a bit of residential stuff in this area. Also up in Howick, we've got some retirement products. So we've got quite a bit of other things on the go as well. So that's what's quite nice. When the guys come and see us, we know what's happening in the area very well. So they can get comfortable around those aspects quite easily.
And I wanted to ask now, specifically since we're talking about what else you're advertising, is you've got a relationship with private property. And could you talk to me about how that impacts how you bring your different developments to the market?
Yeah, I mean, I think private property, as you say, we've had stuff with them for many years. It's one of the number one critical marketing lines for us. Online is obviously pretty much the go-to place for people to find stuff these days, especially over this sort of strange year that we've had now. There's not as much happening, obviously, in print media and that as well. So the online aspect and private property is critical for the success of any of our developments, whether it's residential or commercial. And we always use private property for that reason.
Well, Kevin, it's definitely been an interesting discussion with you taking me through commercial. I've learned quite a bit today, so I'm definitely keen to see how it goes for you and to have you on again with potentially another one of your commercial developments when you bring one to the market.
Always happy to chat.
Thank you so much for joining us. And for everybody who's tuned in, thank you very much as well for taking this journey with us. We will be seeing you again next week. So take care and enjoy this weekend. Goodbye.